Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Endurance Physios podcast. I am Dr. Sam Rockwater, joined as always by Dr. Will Gonzaba. Howdy, Will.
What's up, Sam?
How we doing? Today, we are talking, actually, I had a lot of fun researching this one, but today we're talking about exploring unconventional endurance challenges, aka not swimming, not biking, not running, and not triathlon. So we're going to be talking about a few other things. Today we're going to talk real briefly about obstacle races. Those have been around for a few years now. Most people know about them, but we're going to focus more on endurance challenges such as a swim run or a AquaBike, which are two. I've done neither. I've done none of the three of those obstacle races, swim run or AquaBike, but we are going to be talking about them today. And I might actually try and go and do one. I don't know. We'll see. But
Be a fun
anyways,
challenge.
it would be a fun challenge, I think. Today, first one that we want to talk about. First of all, there's a whole bunch of crazy endurance challenges as well. We're just going to hit on three, but these are kind of three that came to mind right away for us. First one that we want to talk about is obstacle races. People may have heard about these before in the past. Things such as Spartan races or Tough Mudders. I know there's one called the Rugs Maniac, I believe, in Phoenix. I think they do it in the spring and in the fall. But essentially what they are is they're running races with different challenges. So oftentimes they can be a 5K, a 10K. I've seen a 10 mile. I've seen a half marathon one. But essentially what it is you run a little ways and then you come up to a challenge of some sort. So whether that be like climbing a rope or climbing like a rope netting, and then you hop over and then you continue running. And then you get to your next challenge, and it might be like a military crawl or like a bear, or like crawl on the ground, where you're trying to get underneath like a barbed wire kind of thing. And then you run some more, and then you might hit like some hurdles that you have to go up and under, or something like that. And then you keep running. But that's like the gist of obstacle races. Have you ever done an obstacle race, Will?
I've not, man. I've not. My wife has. She likes them a lot. She's actually pretty good at them, but I have never done one. Never done one. No. What about you? You said no, right?
No. Do you have any interest in doing one?
Not really. Not really. Not one of
Yeah.
these, but there's something similar that I want to plug in. Like they're not called obstacle races, but this is kind of, what are they called? They're called Hyro is, I think, how you pronounce it. HYROX. Have you heard of
Hybro?
these?
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
Tell me
It's
more.
kind of they call them like it's a fitness race or fitness competition. So basically, I think it blurs a little bit more on the lines of like a CrossFit esque, because it's okay. So here's how it's laid out. Let me try to describe it well. So basically, there's going to be 8 events that you're going to do, separated by a 1 kilometer run. So like the first event that you're going to do is 1,000 meter ski erg. Then you're going to run a kilometer. Then you're going to do a 50-meter sled push. Then you're going to run a kilometer. Then you're going to do a 50-meter sled pull. You're going to run a kilometer. You're going to do 80 meters of burpee broad jumps, run a kilometer. You'll do 1,000 meters of rowing, run a kilometer. 200 meters of a farmer's carry, run a kilometer. 100 meter of sandbag lunges, run a kilometer. And then lastly, 100 wall balls, and then run a kilometer. That one kind of piqued my interest. That sounds kind of cool and terrible, but I haven't done that. I would be tempted to do that though. I'm not really. I just the obstacle races haven't really like spoken to me yet for whatever reason.
I Oh, you know what? I know where I've seen that. I was like, man, why does that sound so familiar? Sebastian Kienle, the professional triathlete who just recently retired, started doing them. That's why it sounds
Oh,
so
really?
familiar.
Yeah.
Apparently they're like a big thing in Europe.
Yeah,
From what
that's
I've been
right.
told, I don't know. Um,
Yeah, no, it's
but yeah,
a
those
Euro
sound
thing. They're coming to the States now.
Yeah, it seems like it's almost like a mix between like an obstacle race and like CrossFit, doesn't it? Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it kind of
Yeah,
feels
it does.
like a mix between the two. You know,
Have
I could be
you?
wrong.
I'm sure you've seen the. No, no, it kind of is. It's. Have you seen the kind of the trend of like the hybrid athlete that's super popular with like those Nick Bar guys that are like super fit and ripped, but also can run marathons and ultras pretty well. I feel like this is like in that
Mm.
category of like hybrid athlete, like your kind of strength, kind of endurance, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, so it gave me those vibes from reading about it. But looking at the people who do it,
Huh.
it looks very much like CrossFit body types that are
Esque.
completing
Yeah.
in this. Yeah, yeah, CrossFit esque.
Huh. That's cool. It seems like it has more
Anyway,
of like an
yeah,
endurance twist, which
yeah, for
sounds kind
sure.
of cool.
Yeah.
Um, Sweet.
Um,
That's all I have on obstacle races. I think they've been around. I think most people know about them by now. But
mhm.
the other two are the really kind of the ones I want to focus on more on, if that's cool with you, and that is swim run. Um, and I know we were talking off air super briefly about this, and we're like, all right, we got to stop. We got to get on air and like get this in the podcast. But essentially, it's this multi-point race or challenge where you might swim to an island or like across a lake, and then you run, and then you hit another body of water, and then you have to swim again, and then you run, and then you get out of the water, and then you run again, you swim, and you run. And these people, keep their shoes on the entire time, and and anyways, it's essentially like the first person to hit all these checkpoints and swim and run and follow these trails, first person to cross the finish line wins. Um, and they're really, I mean, kind of cool. I was looking at a couple of races, but like they sound really, I think, like super fun. I wish I could run a little bit more again, but because I 100% would do one of these. But have you ever heard of these before, or swim run before?
Yeah, I have heard of them. We've got a couple here in like around the San Antonio area, and I've had some clients that
Nice.
have like dabbled in them, and then a couple now that are like super into them, where it's like the thing that they're training for. They're trying to go to like the world championship for it, and
Oh
it's pretty cool.
snap!
Like everyone that I know who has done one is always like, "Dude, it's so fun! Like you got to try it." So it sounds cool, and I like the idea of it.
I
And
think I think you have to
we
try
were
one,
talking.
Will.
Man, I have a friend that's kind of convincing me, trying to talk me into it. I would try it.
I
I
think you
would try it, not
should.
this year, but I would try it. We've got a cool one up like right around the corner from us. That'd be fun to do it. Okay, but on these swim runs, so you can do them individually, I'm assuming, and you can also do them as a partner. And so Sam and I was like,
Hmm.
Sam, are are you I think you have to be like tethered to your partner when you do this, like you're tied together at the waist when you swim and when you run. And he was like, I don't know
What?
about that. So anyway, I'm doing some research on it right now. Okay, but you do. Okay, so if you're doing it as a team,
You have to be
like
tethered?
a 1-2, like you're tethered at the waist. Yeah, it's a 3 meter line and you're tethered. And you're swimming it together and
Oh
you're running
shit.
it together the whole time. So let me see. Yeah, with the tethered,
That
blah blah
sounds
blah. I'm
awful.
just calling.
Sounds
Yeah,
awful.
a tether or
I
tow
I
line is essentially a 3 minute. The team. I'm making sure that you have to stay in contact with the other in the water and in the land and in the land and on land. Sorry. The genesis of the tether, according to the legendary swim runner, was to keep teams safe and in contact during the original race, which or the I think you're going to talk about this. Is it the Otillo race? That was the original one, and it used to take
Otillo's like
teams
the
18.
name brand.
Okay, okay. Well, during the original Otillo race, however long it was, it used to take people 18 hours to finish. And so they used the tether as a safety
Holy
thing
crap.
to make sure people stayed in contact. They aren't mandatory at every race. Most teams will opt to use them for longer distance events. Very interesting. The
Huh.
length of the tether can vary depending on comfort level. So, okay, cool. So you might be tied to your partner. It might be optional. Um, it may depend from race to race according to the distance. So that's a fun quirk about it.
I thought I could have sworn when I saw teams, like the first thing that went into my mind was like a triathlon, like similar to like a triathlon relay, right? Where
Oh yeah,
you kind of
yeah.
tag, you kind of like tag and then go. I didn't know that you had to be tethered.
No, no, like that.
Oh,
Your partner, like you're tied to your partner. That's interesting. That's interesting. I don't
okay.
know. Have you ever
So,
swam tethered to somebody?
uh, I haven't.
No.
Um, I
Yeah.
haven't ever.
I
No.
just wonder how that. I wonder how that would be as as like the weaker swimmer. Like, okay, so you're definitely a faster swimmer than I am. You swam at college. Like, if we swam
Yeah.
tethered together, who would that suck more for you or for me?
I
Do you
would
know?
assume for you. I would assume for you because you're kind
Right?
of
Like,
you might get like dragged around. But
yeah, like drowning
I
back
mean,
there.
I
But
could
then my weight would be
could be
slowing you down.
wrong.
You know?
Yeah,
Damn.
I
Now I feel like we need to
mm,
try this, like a tether swim challenge. Just the swim. I just want to see how it
tethered
goes.
swim. Will next time we're together, we're gonna do
Anyway,
a
anyway,
tethered
yeah,
swim challenge.
tether swim.
But yeah.
Anyway, okay,
So
so
in doing more of my research, go ahead. You were gonna ask a question.
yeah, no, I was. It's probably what you're about to say. I just want to know a little bit more about the format of these. So I know that you're going to swim through a body of water. It's going to connect to a piece of land. You're going to run some trails, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, and then kind of repeat this process. So how many like are they considered legs? Like a swim run, that's one leg. Did you do another swim run? That's two legs. Like how do they divide this up? How long are the races?
Yeah. So when doing the research, actually there's this really cool website. It's called swimrun.com. Genius name, right? For a swim run.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
swimrun.com. Has a whole bunch of races listed throughout the US, throughout the world. Um, from my research, I just clicked on one and started like digging into like the race website of it. And so it's the Orcas Island race, which is out in Washington, I believe. And essentially, they have two different distances. They have a long distance and a short distance. The long distance, get this, Will. The long distance is 21.75 miles of running, trail running, and swimming 5,470 meters. Um, for those of you that don't know meters, that's roughly 4.5, almost 5 miles of swimming. That is a long day. And so anyways, they will have I don't know if they how they determine it, but essentially there's like a little like grid on the side, and it was numbered like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it had the kilometers of running that you did or the miles of running that you did, and then the meters of swimming that you did. And then and so you could see like some of the runs were like a few miles, and then some of the swims, I think the longest swim was like 850 yards or meters, excuse me, which
Mm-hmm.
is about 1,000-ish, a little less than 1,000 yards of swimming. So
Yeah.
it's it's a little bit of a swim, after you've ran,
Yeah.
5-6 miles, and then you just keep repeating. I think the shortest one, I could be wrong. I looked at a whole bunch, so I might be quoting it wrong, but it sounds like the swims are anywhere from like 800, 850 meters or so to like 30 meters, which 30 meters is
Mm-hmm.
like across a
It's pretty
short,
short.
like
Yeah.
either creek opening or something like that, or something where a skinny point of a lake where you just got to get across. Um but that's a long distance one though, so it's 21.75 miles of swimming and almost 5,500 meters of swimming. The short distance one, which seems a little bit more reasonable, is 10.7 miles of running, and then 2,350 meters of swimming, which is roughly 2 miles of swimming. So that one
Um,
seems a little bit more
dang.
reasonable, and maybe a little bit more fun to do. But I don't know. They sound like
Okay.
fun. I wish I could run.
It sounds like fun, but I have a lot of questions. So one of the things just looking at these pictures on Swim Run, and some of these
Yeah.
people are swimming in wetsuits, which would make sense, I'm sure, so the water's cold. So then, are we running in
Hmm.
the wetsuit? Like, are there special wetsuits just for this?
I would assume
You
that
know?
they're running in their wetsuit because if the water's that cold, my assumption is that the air temperature is probably also very cold. And
Oh,
so
good
they
point.
probably do that. If anything, they'll probably take it halfway down. So they'll unzip and then loosen their arm or get their arms out of the suit in order to kind of cool down appropriately. But because wetsuits can get very hot very quick
Yeah,
when swimming and or running and stuff like that. But I I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they have wetsuits made for this. Again, we're just a bunch of rookies.
yeah,
Neither one of us have done this before, but I would assume that they probably use the same
yeah.
wetsuits that
It
triathlon
looks like
uses.
just I'm not as familiar with these, but like it looks like they're wearing. Oh, it almost looks like a skin suit. So like the leg part just goes to mid thigh, kind of like a bib, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Mm-hmm.
sleeved, but just to the elbow. Not like a full
Mm-hmm.
length wetsuit. So I could see how you could run in those. I forget what they call those. Are they called? I forget what they call those. But anyway, they're running in those.
Swim
So
skins.
that could swim skins. Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, most of
I
the
don't
time it's
know.
used though in really warm water or swim skins. So I don't
Oh,
know if
interesting, interesting,
like when it's not
interesting.
wetsuit legal. But that doesn't
Yeah,
mean though that somebody didn't take a wetsuit that was full length arms, full length legs, and just cut it. You know?
true. Yeah. The other thing I'm seeing is they're swimming with paddles on their hands.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
From my
so you can
understanding,
use
paddles
paddles.
are legal. Yeah, and
Okay, cool.
I believe too. Sometimes they have people have to have like the open water little like floaty like blow up
Oh,
things.
sure,
Sometimes
sure.
they have those
Yeah, yeah,
where people have to use those too.
yeah,
Just no
sure. No,
biggie.
it makes sense.
Just
Yeah, no big. I actually
grabbing their
swam with
hand
one of
and
those for the
go.
first time this weekend. Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Cool. So,
they're
all
not
right.
bad at
So,
all.
tether. Yeah, tether plus or minus some sort of swimsuit or swim. Yeah, what wetsuit and paddles.
Wetsuit.
Okay, so that's what's going on in the water. And then you're
Yeah,
swimming in your run shoes,
yeah.
and you're running in the
Apparently,
same
people
shoes.
will.
That sounds
Yeah,
terrible.
can you imagine those wet shoes for 21.75 miles?
No, dude, I couldn't even. Also, shoes when you
Gee.
get them wet and you're swimming in them, they're very heavy. Even if they're light shoes, like that's
Yeah,
you'll definitely
yeah,
notice it.
yeah. Sounds like
Interesting.
it's Blister City to me. That's what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
dude, absolutely. Yeah, it does. All
Yeah.
right, cool. Very interesting.
So that's kind of cool.
I could, yeah, I could see doing this at some point in my life.
Sure. Sure. All right.
All
Should we
right.
talk about AquaBike?
How about, yeah, dude, let's talk about some aqua
Or
bikes.
or do you have anything about any other questions or things about swim run first? Let's
I think I do. I think I do have one question.
yeah,
Um,
fire.
so is there I'm assuming there's probably a professional circuit in this, like with most sports, number one, and then number two, is there things kind of like the equivalent of Kona for Ironman triathlon? Is there an equivalent world championship type of thing with
Yeah.
swim runs?
Yeah. So they have a thing called
Pretty sick.
the World Series. Essentially that company Otillo, Otillo,
Uh-huh.
Otillo. They are kind of like Iron Man. So where
Okay.
it's a brand name and stuff like that. But they have a World Series for it, and then they also have a World Championship for it as well. Now I don't know if
Okay.
that's like the like ultimate grail in swim run.
Hmm.
I'm really hoping that we have somebody who like loves swim runs and is totally into it and comments or tells us that everything that we talked about
Yeah.
was wrong. But because I would love to hear about it more. But from my understanding, yes, there is a World Series, and then there also is a World Championship as well. So I don't know if they
Yeah.
have like
Wow,
specially
man.
made shoes or what. I don't know.
Dude, I don't know. I've got a lot of questions
I,
about more of the equipment. I'm wrapping my head around, the event,
the
okay,
shoes,
but the equipment selection, the shoes, the
yeah,
wetsuits.
critical,
I've got a lot of questions on.
critical,
Yeah, yeah,
critical.
yeah. fueling
Yeah.
along the way. Like this seems pretty crazy. The videos look awesome though. Like when you're looking at where these
Yeah.
races are at on
They're
Otillo,
epic places.
swimrun.com. Yeah, that looks pretty
Yeah.
incredible. I could see why people would like this.
They have they have races in
Yeah.
like France,
Um,
Spain. They have races in like South America, all over the US. It's
hey, look,
intense.
Austin, Texas.
Looks awesome though.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Will,
Hey, what's
dude, you got to do it. Hold on.
I
When
think
is
my
Austin, Texas one?
dude, it's in November. I think it's when it is. I don't want
Will,
to. Let's see. I
Will,
think that's when it is. Let's see. Is the
Will, you
podcast
should
going to
do it.
sponsor me?
Sure.
Let's see. When is it? When is it? I don't know, but it's in Austin. I think it's November.
Okay.
That's when I think that my friend wanted me to do
Perfect.
this race with her. I was like,
See,
but cyclocross. All right, I'll
Will,
think about it.
think about
I'll think
what
about it.
great cross training this would be. It
Cyclocross?
would be awesome.
Okay.
Don't think, just do. Just sign up.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay.
We'll revisit that as we get
We'll,
closer
we'll,
to November. Then
we'll consider. We'll consider. Not a hard no, but not a firm yes. Okay.
perfect.
Let's talk
Perfect.
about let's talk about aqua bikes, shall we?
Yes, let's talk about them. AquaBike. Most of the time, AquaBike is a swim and then a bike. So this is a form of a duathlon. Most of the time, a duathlon is run, bike, run, or just bike and then run, or whatever it is. But an AquaBike is essentially just the first two legs of a triathlon, and then you just don't run. Um, so essentially, you normally you start in the same waves or whatever, and you're just chipped differently. So the timing chip that you wear on there is different, and then you will bike the bike course. I actually did a race where they have an aqua bike, and I had no idea why this guy was just flying past me. It was a
Just going for it.
half Ironman distance race. So it's 56 miles. And we were supposed to have a half marathon afterwards. So 13.1 mile run afterwards. And this guy at mile 40 just flies by me like I'm putting it in park. He's just flying by me. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like are you going to run after this? Like, it's impossible. And I got to transition. And then I realized that he didn't run because he was still sitting in transition and he was in the aqua bike category. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes me feel a little bit a little bit better, a little bit faster. But yeah, essentially, most of the time it's associated with these. They run in conjunction with the triathlons. Have you ever done an aqua bike?
No, no, but I've seen him in conjunction with some tries that I've done in the past.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
similarly, of course, I knew a little bit more about them, but I was definitely curious about it as well. I found that there's this great, awesome website, similar to swimrun.com, but it's called aquabike.world. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it has aquabike races all over the world. You plug in your country, you plug in your state in the United States that you are, and you plug in your zip code and how many miles away you want to do it, and then boom, all of a sudden they all pop up. And it has this cool like map feature where you can essentially zoom into the map and see where all those are, or you can just use that search function for it as well. Really cool, actually. I've been toying with the
Yeah.
idea of doing an aqua bike, just given that I was a swimmer in college. The swim, no big deal. Just gotta go put my head down in a pool again, and then biking. Obviously, I really enjoy doing that, because I got a bad right ankle and can't really run anymore. That seems like a very logical transition for me, to be able to do
Mm-hmm.
those swim bikes. But aquabike.world is the
Yeah.
website, and it is cool. I'm not sure if you're looking at it right now or not, but
I'm looking
it's
at it
got
right now.
it's got
There's a
some really
ton
cool
of
stuff.
races.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure
It's
there's all
yeah,
over.
I like it for like what you're saying, man. Like some people who just like they haven't an injury or whatever that would prevent them from running, like this is awesome because you can still get that like big race environment, especially since most of these are associated with triathlons that are big production. So you get to participate in that same hype and have all that same energy from being out there. So I think that's cool. And also for the people that are just like, nah, I hate running, screw that. Like perfect, you can just swim and bike. You don't have to do that
Perfect.
last part. The last part sucks anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it's optional. It's totally optional. Um,
All
no, it's
right. So
awesome. I
we're
actually looked.
signing you up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
We'll. I'll
we're signing you up for an aqua bike, and then I'm gonna do a swim run. I got the
deal.
short end of the stick on that one. Dude. That sucks.
Honestly, if I could run, I'd be like, well, let's pick out a swim run race and let's do it.
Oh, I totally do it with
But I
you.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Be
Fair.
tethered.
Fair.
You
Yeah, that'd be
can
fun.
you can be my boat anchor. You can be my boat anchor in
Oh
the
yeah.
water, and then I'll be
Yeah.
your plow on the trail run. It'll be great. But no, AquaBike. I know I was looking up. There's a couple in Arizona. There's one actually. This it'll already have passed by the time this podcast comes out. But there's one real local in Tempe, but it's just not going to work out. I already have stuff planned for this weekend. There's another one up in Flagstaff, which no better place to swim and run in thin oxygen at 7,500 feet of elevation. But that one's in July, and unfortunately, I'm going to be gone that week of July. It's like the 1 week I'm gone this summer, so I won't be able to do that. But there is another one. There's a lot of them in California, right on the coast, and I might have to just go drive over there and try one out because I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. It'd be sick.
We'll
It'd be
see.
sick.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Um, Sweet. Do you have any other questions or any thoughts about AquaBike? Have you ever wanted to do one or no?
No.
Still not really?
Not really. No. No. I mean, not opposed to it, but I haven't necessarily had the bug for it. I should say.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Any other
Yeah.
unconventional endurance challenges that you can think of, or anything that you want to, any last kind of final thoughts as we wrap up here?
Dude, I'm sure there's just there are probably like these that are stupid distances, and that would be super unconventional. But off the top of my head, I don't think so. I think these are the ones that are at least most accessible to people, and it's also nice that kind of regardless of your abilities or location in the world, you can find something that would suit you for whatever level you are. So from the beginner to experience, there's something for you. So I think that's what's pretty cool about each of these things. And I'll also say like, okay, I've never done anything unconventional like this, but I do think that having it's a nice thing to break up the staleness of what can be training otherwise. At a certain point, you kind of run through most of the events that you can go out and do, which are always fun. But it's nice to have a little bit more spark to your training when you're doing a new type of event. So I think that these type of formats serve that role really nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. I would also too, if anyone has done an obstacle race, swim run, or an aqua bike, um, please comment in on whatever platform you're listening to, because we would be very curious to see what races you've done. Comment as to what race you have done, and if you have any pro tips too for Will and I, as Will attempts his swim run and as I attempt my aqua bike this summer. So should be awesome. I'm putting it out into the
Should be sick.
atmosphere world. For you,
Yeah,
Will.
you just said
I'm
I'm
just
doing
trying to
it.
put it out there for you. Doing it.
God damn.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening today. Please like, subscribe, and if you really want to do us a favor, please tell a friend about our podcast, because that is how we grow and get all the information out to the masses. So that'd be awesome. We'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
See ya.